Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome to my Friday Tarot Chat. Hello to those of you that are streaming in. I thought that today I would take some time to talk a little bit about my upcoming plans and what's happening for a set of readings that I'm going to be doing live every day for about 20 days. And in over the past few years, I have done a reading, like a year ahead reading for each of the tarot cards. So if your card for the year is 14 Temperance, there will be a reading around the energy of the Temperance card to look ahead for 2024. And so I've been racking my brain, putting lots of thought into how I'm going to do this year. One, to be in alignment with my 2024 year, which is going to be a Pip Marseille year, and also to be more in alignment with my growth as a reader as well too. And because 2024 is an 8-year, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions. And so I thought today I would take a little bit of time to sort of unpack all of that. Okay, so that's the plan for this next hour's chat. So welcome. Hello. I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you. So welcome, Donna. Yes, it's a wonderful time of year. Happy winter. Happy summer to those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. Welcome to Dee, Magical Solstice, right back at you. Perry, Clevis, welcome. Namaste. And Patrice, so lovely to have you here. I've really been enjoying our connections, even though I don't write very often in Esther's page, in Esther's group. All right, should we start a poll for which card is the 2024 year? We could start a poll. We could start, but somebody will have to keep track. Okay. So that's something that, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Clevis, Perry, and G. Will, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Warrior Girl, namaste. So I think I'm going to open with that. Let's talk about, is 2024 a justice year or is it a strength year? And what does that represent? And then I will talk about, for those of you that aren't aware, how to calculate your card for the year. And then I want to talk about this spread. And because I want to do an 8-card spread for the year. So, which I was just playing with, and I want to move this all over. All right. And just so you know, tomorrow in my Advent calendar, I am going to be doing my 10 favorite cards. It was a hashtag a while back, hashtag 10 favorite cards, and I think I have 16, so I have to narrow that down, but that's going to be part of tomorrow's Advent calendar. If you see lots of stuff on my desk because my camera shifts, that's why. All right, so let's begin with the acknowledgement. First of all, I want to talk about systems and the effect of layering systems on systems. And that has to do with, perhaps I should get some cards in hand. What I'm talking about here is what happens when we try to layer the chakras on tarot. What happens when we try to layer astrology on tarot? What happens when we try to layer the Kabbalah on tarot? Spirituality is this magical, mystical, intangible brilliance. I, with every ounce of my being, believe that all roads lead to spirit. And it doesn't matter which path we take. This happened to me as a very young woman in Japan. I was so gifted to have physical guides supporting me on my journey when I was there. I was 20. How old was I? I went to university at 17. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I was like in my early 20s. And this one woman, she was, I don't know why she took such an interest in me, but she would take me to temple and shrine and all these places all over Japan at her expense, and take me great distances to see the unflowering of the not hibiscus, that doesn't bloom in Japan very much except in the far south. The hydrangeas. We would go to the awakening of the hydrangeas. It wasn't just about cherry blossoms. We would go to all these festivals and things, and in this process encounter these very sacred sites. And I would observe all these rituals that were happening, the way that people would bow and clap their hands and leave offerings, and the way that numbers were involved. And it was so fascinating. I love the pagan nature of the Shinto shrines. I love the tradition and the chanting at the Buddhist temples. And the way that the Japanese people embrace all of it. Very few people in Japan would call themselves monotheistic. You know, there's this sense of spirituality, and we honor it all and we celebrate it all. And it was just this, for a young person, it was brilliant, a brilliant place to be in. I was fortunate to travel to many Asian countries at that time. I was there the first time in Japan for 3.5 years. And I was making a ridiculous amount of money for a young person. And so I could flit and fly anywhere I wanted to go, and went to lots of remote places in Asia, sometimes by ferry, sometimes by plane. And so I was very privileged, and I would go to sacred sites and just be mind blown by all of this. So why am I saying this? It's the reason that the Kabbalah, astrology, the chakras, and I'm sure there's other systems as well too, fit together is because it's kind of all the same path. Unfortunately, it doesn't layer together perfectly. It's you know, when you get one piece that you want to try to force into a puzzle and it doesn't quite fit. Well, sometimes that happens with these systems. And while we can learn a lot by layering these systems, and I have built courses in layering these systems because I think there's so much to learn, they don't fit together perfectly. Okay. The tarot existed without these layers for the most part before these layers were imposed on the tarot. And if we go back to some of the oldest tarot decks, I'm sure that you are aware that Justice was numbered 8 in the tarot. And that I should have the card right at hand. These are not in order. Also, the numerology was different on these cards as well, too. And that Strength was numbered 11. Isn't that funny? Did I go by it? La Force. La Force was numbered 11. So we have that as a foundation in the system of tarot. And then when we I think I just broke glass. Yes, I broke glass. Let me just pull out this candle. Then when we begin to add layers, sometimes it feels like we should switch things around. Now, if you are trained in numerology, and you know a thing or two about the number 8, if you are a mathematician, if you are interested in sacred geometry, this layer also is fascinating in the way that it builds into the tarot. The number 8, symbolically, as this shape, has two equal sides that are in constant rotation, that never are in the same place, that are always changing. And in that regard, it is really one of the beautiful ways that the number 8 fits with justice, or the keyword adjustment. This is from Mel Maline's Tabula Mundi, where we have a figure skater. Now, I don't know how many of you figure skated, but there used to be a practice. You would go out in the mornings and you would do your 8s, and it was a discipline. It was a discipline, and it was a meditative practice where you would carve figure 8s on the ice. It required a lot of strength and dedication and focus. And I don't remember the last time I heard Mel talk about this card. I don't know if she was a figure skater, but when I see this card and I think about adjustment and carving 8s on the ice, this is one of the metaphors that really makes me see this, yes, it used to be part of the Olympics. You're right, Donna. Yeah. This is one of the metaphors that makes me think, wow, okay, there are lots of metaphors where we can find similarities among 8 as strength and 8 as justice, karmic justice, or adjustment. I was writing in my blog for the Mindful Tarot Challenge for the adjustment card. And I was examining the paths on the Tree of Life. And this is another, right? The Kabbalah was layered on the tarot, and the 22 major arcana were assigned paths on the Tree of Life. And some of them make amazing sense. The high priestess has this direct channel to God. Things like that is brilliant. However, when you look on the Tree of Life, I mean, I can share a diagram with you, I suppose, but I'm sure you all know what the Tree of Life looks like. I should really use my own because I don't have permission to share this, but that's okay. Sorry, I'm not the most technically there we go. Okay. So on the Tree of Life, this path that connects Jupiter, number 4, Hesed, to 5, Mars, Gevra, is the path of strength or lust. And when you think about that and you reflect on the Hebrew letter, and just the general concept of this power between Mars and Jupiter, the energy that it evokes. And I suppose, we also, a lot of us probably vary on our interpretation of what the strength card represents, but that lion in the strength card is, I think in general we can agree that it is our our inner strength, our inner fortitude, our inner beast as well. It's our fire, our passion, our sexuality. And if we're connecting the powerful energy of Jupiter, the expansive energy of Jupiter, with the wanting to expand martial energy of Mars, you would need to embrace your inner lion in order to kind of be in that energy. One could argue that you would need to find balance between those two as well. But there's something that I don't disagree with where most of the cards have been assigned and passed on the Tree of Life. And Perry, I will come back to that comment in just a moment. And what's really interesting, if you're not aware, is that so strength is connected to 5, and so is justice. So they're both here on, like they've been put close together. And the justice card takes us into the center, into peace, into balance, into Tiferet. And so that makes sense that we go from quite a bit of a lot of processing in the 5 to the harmony and the balance through the energy of justice, karma, adjustment, to 6 in the center. So there is something that that fits there for sure. Okay. Now, Perry mentioned that, and so if you work with the number 8 is such a huge number. It is, let's put both these cards on the table. The number 8 is considered a very lucky number in Asia. People buy houses just because there's an 8 in the address. People change their phone numbers to have a number 8 in it. People would adjust registered birth dates because the number 8 is such an auspicious, lucky number. It has that much power. The number 8 is also, if you look up numerology, and I did put a link in the description box below, there is a level of inner fortitude that is associated with the number 8. So in numerology, we also have an intersection of energy, of both justice, balance, and strength. Now, if we are to also, shall I do this? Shall I take the time? Perhaps I will. Okay, let's back up here. Let's get wait. Okay. The tarot is divided 21 cards as three septenaries. And we have 7, 14, 21. Sorry, I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's do this anyway. I think this is a good way to talk about this. Seven, 14, 21. Death. High Priestess, Hanged Man. Okay. You can tell I've done that a few times. Okay. In the, when we're looking at the cards in this way, of course, it makes sense. We look at the concept of justice in the center of the tarot, justice as scales, justice as balance. Justice sits there sort of presiding over all 21 cards below the power of the Emperor, and kind of holds this energy over Luna, over the moon, asking us to, sort of choose wisely. The two scales, the two pillars in the Justice card, the two arms of the chair in the Emperor sit kind of magically and mystically over the two pillars in the Moon card. It's a really interesting column to examine and to look at. Now, there's quite a few interpretations about what these three rows represent. I think one can find a lot of the first septenary, the first row, is personal. It can be very self-centered. It's about self-discovery. It can represent early years. It's the beginning of our journey. Whereas the second row it's more involved. It's more involved in connections with others, experiences in the world, worldly events. It takes us out of the personal into all kinds of relationships and connections with other people, as opposed to the third septenary, which is much more spiritual. So, sorry. This one. It's linked in the description box below. Now, interestingly, both 8 and 11 are in this row. So they're both part of this journey where we encounter more than ourselves. They are relatively close together. They're really not that far apart. What is in between them is the Hermit and the Wheel, however we switch them. So I think switching them is not such a big deal. However you choose to work with this, may be very personal. And what I would encourage you to do is to be flexible with this. Now, let's talk a little bit about what it means that the first card is strength, or the first card of the second septenary is justice or adjustment. So as we venture out into the big wide world, we think about yourself. Think about yourself as a 20-something going out traveling, or maybe you went to a different town for college, or you just sort of left high school and went to work and started being with all these adults. I mean, it's not an easy place to be. And that if we look at this particular card simply as kind of mustering up your strength, it kind of fits there. However, there are other connotations to this card that are much more mature, that require more personal wherewithal and development. And if you look at, you can look at the Crowley card. Oh my God, I wish I had the deck out that I'm doing my. Have a look at any number of variations on the lust card, which is the Thoth name for the strength card. This is a card where, here is Mel Moline's version of it. Here, I'll hold it up for you. Where we learn about that. So when I think of fire, so fire is will, fire is passion, it's our sex drive. It has to do with a balancing of the solar plexus chakra in a way that it's the Wonder Woman pose. We know who we are, and we know what we want, and we're committed to our path and all those fiery things. As a young, naive-ish person early in a journey, you don't have this. You don't have this, and you're probably not going to find it for a little while. And when I think about this card in that sort of more worldly kind of way, it fits better a little further along the path. And when I think about kind of the brick wall that we hit as a young person going out into the world, or even, maybe say you're a little bit older and you're forced into a new culture, or maybe you marry into a different culture, or something where you just encounter different way of being. There's a certain amount of adjustment. It's such a perfect word that is required. Now, this will also bring up a lot of all of our hamster wheel stuff from childhood as well. The patterns, the things we haven't dealt with. When we go out into the world and we meet other people, we are forced to deal with our stuff. And I don't want to spend an hour teaching about what this card represents, but because it means a lot to a lot of different people, and there are so many layers, and it takes a lifetime of study to understand the intricacies of these cards. But as the first card in the second septenary, it fits so very well. It's almost a layer of protection in that it says, well, you can't pass until you open your eyes and have a look at your stuff. That might be one way to express it. Be aware that there are repercussions for every thought, every word you choose. You can't just go out into the world without understanding the relationship between cause and effect. So it's a really interesting card to have in this position. So as we go from 2023 as a 7-year to 2024 as an 8-year, have an open mind. Have an open mind about the lessons of strength and the lessons of justice, whatever name you want to call it by. And I think having a variety of names for these cards is also really useful. And so 2024 is my Marseille year, so I'm going to primarily be referring to lessons of justice in terms of each of the readings that I do. And of course, I will weave in the readings where necessary, where lessons of strength shine forth or lust. And I think that there was another thing that came up, and that had to do. Oh, yes, I remember. So the paths on the tree of life are also numbered. Lamed is the Hebrew letter for justice, and it is the 22nd path. Now, wouldn't it make sense that the 22nd path numerologically corresponds to 11? I don't know. It's a mystery. All I can tell you is that I don't think I will ever be fixed in any of this. I am, like I was sharing you with my stories about Japan, I am amazed. I am amazed about how everything that, like, the mandala of life is so amazing. Just be in amazement of it, and learn how to dance with it, because it's incredible, and have fun with it. And that's what I'm going to do with my readings. So what I'm going to do, starting on, it depends when the kids are gone and I can sort of get things going again. I do have my first broadcast scheduled. The thumbnail is already up, but know that it might change by 24 hours. As with my Advent calendar, which I've been doing at 8 or 8:15 each morning. And thank you for your understanding. Sometimes life happens and I can't start on time. I will be doing these readings at 8 or 8:15 every morning for a number of days. And I'm going to be starting with the Justice card as the first reading. Okay, let's go to Donna's comment. I'm fully torn. I'm an RWS girl myself, although I love and use TDM, but numerologically, 8 is the number of karma, which would indicate Justice card at 8. Yeah. KC, I feel that the Japanese way of seeing this year is the best. It's going to ebb and flow and apply to both. Yeah, and that's what I will do. So I'm going to show you the decks that I'm going to be using for my readings. And when I say that, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for the readings, and then you can, and know that by this time next week it may all change. But I'm creating my plan. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about your card. And so let's get the Chariot cards on the table. And I'm going to put, where's my deck? So many freaking decks on the table. This is the problem. I'm going to put 3 tarot cards on the table, and I'm going to talk about your tarot card. I'm going to talk about the energy of your tarot card. And I chose these. I went through all of my Marseille decks, and I wanted to choose cards that were pleasing together, and at the same time I wanted to respect all of the traditions. And so this is the Jodorowsky Kamwan Marseille. This is the one that I'm going to use. And this is Melmoline's Tabula Mundi, which is tried and true, very deeply connected to the Thoth tradition. And I wanted to use a relatively neutral, Waite Smith inspired deck that also had Justice as number 8. And in the Wild Unknown Tarot, Justice is number 8. And I went through many of my Waite-Smith decks, Waite-Smith inspired decks that had Justice as number 8, and this is the one that I chose. So I'm going to start each reading with a little chit chat about your card of the year and what it may mean in an 8-year. And then I will do a reading. And I wanted to do, sorry, you saw them on the table a moment ago, but they've disappeared. Where did you go? There you are. Maybe, no. I had all those planet cards on the table a second ago. I don't know where they went. I've been trying to think about an 8-card. I want to do an 8-card reading. And that means that this is the central card, and then I want to have 7 cards around the outside. And so I was playing with Patrick Fogarty's deck. Please. Is this it? Yes, this is it. Okay. And so what I was thinking is that, okay, the sun, your card is going to go in the center. And then because I have done quite a bit of work with the planets this year, I feel like I can sort of weave the 7 positions. Ooh, I have something else I want to talk about that doesn't fit and doesn't work in this big wide world. And to lay down 7 cards and on top of these planets. So I'm going to use the latest version. Okay, so there's been so much thought put into this, boys and girls. And the reason I'm using the latest version, do you know why I'm using the latest version of this deck? Is because the Justice card was recolored. And I bought this deck just for the recolored Justice card. And I just thought that that was very apropos. So I'm going to shuffle. I don't know if I'll do a first operation because I have to think about how I would do that. And then I'm going to lay out 7 cards. And maybe I will lay them out counterclockwise because that's the way the astrology wheel goes. Not that this is an astrological reading. And then I'm going to do a reading for each of the cards. And so I'm still in deep consideration about how this is going to unfold. So it's possible that in your reading, because this is a complete deck, these are from a different deck, that you could have the Chariot card show up. Yeah. So, and so I'm thinking I'll spend about half an hour to 45 minutes every morning. Depends on the reading. I could probably spend 2 hours, but maybe we'll see. So that's my plan. So let me know what you think about that, my plan. Yeah. Liz, thank you. Thank you. That's my plan. This tarot thing, it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think we get on our high horse about certain things. We get on our high horse about, oh, well, traditionally it's this way. Well, these wise magicians saw this, and so this must be correct. And I think if we just get out of the mindset that something has to be right, it is, just I want to let go of all of that. And I learned to let go of that such a long time ago. So that's my intention. Okay. Now, tell me this. What do you think it meant? The glass broke at the beginning of our session today. I think that's really interesting too. I let the wax burn down and the jar broke. Yeah. Okay. So, this is my last broadcast until I start these readings. You could always spend a half hour, 45 minutes with us live and then go deep privately for members only. Oh, then I would have to create 2 thumbnails, Casey. I can't just... It'd be so easy if there was a button to switch. I could do that. I could. It's a really, really good idea. I just that's actually a really good idea. So that would mean that I would have to create 2 thumbnails for each reading, and I would have to sign off and sign on. So there would be a little gap in between. But that is possible. And then we could have more of a, those of you that are interested could have more of a intimate conversation, for sure. Yeah. And I could do that at the Carnelian level. So people could just join for a couple of dollars for their extended conversation, for sure. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Maybe I'll do that. Yes, because I could spend a couple of hours explaining, for sure. Okay. I like that idea. D. That's a lot of work, admirable but exhausting. Please take care not to bite off more than you can chew. Yeah. In the past, so I did over 1 year, I did it over 2 days. 1 year, I did it over 3 days. To do all of the year ahead readings in a couple of days, that was just like crazy. I don't have that capacity anymore. If they're quick little 15-minute readings at a psychic fair, that's a different thing. But to do something more in depth like this, yes. And you know what else? It's great. Maybe it'll add a little bit more revenue to my channel if I do something like that. It's just behind the scenes. It's a bit more work. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Casey. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, I was saying, so this is my last broadcast until I start these readings. I will not be on for live readings. There will be no breath class, no live readings on Tuesday. There will be no Tildwick on Wednesday, no Facebook on Wednesday, nothing until I start this again. So this is your last opportunity to ask me anything or say anything until I come on to do these readings. So let me know if you have anything. Bye, Sharon. Happy holidays to you. Much love. Yeah. Yeah. My kids are on their way. They're all coming home. And we'll have lots of food. Already started the shopping. And my partner's parents will be here as well too. So we will have an older generation, which is really lovely. Yeah, I like that. Oh, you're welcome, Liz. You're welcome. Nobody commented on the broken glass. Thanks, Donna. Thank you. Thank you. I need to make some cookies too. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. You have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and I will see you all in less than a week. Okay? Thank you so much. Take good care. Happy winter. Blessings for the solstice. Shattering conventional thought. Maybe. Ooh, thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you as well, Casey. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody. Take good care.